Setting up your scrap shop can be very important for your efficiency. It helps a lot if your shop, if your scrap site is very consistent, if it's the same place that you're using all the time. The reason for that is that you will develop a muscle memory for where things are, and you won't spend as much time looking around. Now, I had a question from a viewer early on in setting up the shop here about the bins back here. And the important thing is to understand that the bins that are behind me are just part of the overall efficiency of my workspace. As you can see from the labels, what I try to do is set them up for the common items that I will come across while I am breaking down primarily PCs. So we've got the Wi-Fi cards, we have the wire from the Wi-Fi that has the gold connector end on it that I'm setting aside for future gold recovery. We've got CPUs, green and brown. We have CPUs with no pin, which is pretty common, that's why it's at the top. A CPU P4 with pins. We have black fiber. I may move that over there. But here, I'm going to show you how I kind of map that out a little bit. Right, so when I was mapping this out, I was thinking about the items that I get frequently. And I want the more frequent finds to be either on the left or the right, because it doesn't require that I spin around as much, if at all. So on the right-hand side, we have Wi-Fi cards. Below them is the Wi-Fi wire with the little gold tab on the end of it. And then right below that is the gold tab BGAs. Over on the other side will be the CPU with no pin at the top. I find those very frequently, of course. And then right below that, ICs. That's pretty common to find socket-mounted ICs, flat packs, those kind of things that I can pull off. So ICs will go there. Below that, CPUs, P4 green fiber with metal. Relatively common, not as much anymore, but I'm still getting those quite frequently. Now, directly behind me, a little less convenient because I have to turn around more to put stuff in there. So that's the CPU's green-brown fiber, CPU black fiber, and then at the bottom, BGA no gold tab. And it's not that that's not a common element. I just frequently don't take them off of the boards. So I might get them from somebody who's bringing stuff in to sell me, or because they've come, they're loose from the material that I get from the scrapyard, but it's not like I'm in the habit of breaking these things off of the boards myself. So that's sort of the general plan. And of course, we'll adjust as reality plays out and we see how things really are going to be. And we'll play around with it a little bit as we proceed with our scrap. But it's part of the overall system because we also have a number of containers, small bins that are underneath of me, right in front of me. So we have RAM, just plain gold finger RAM, shielded RAM. We have copper. Up here we have brass. Here we have gold connector ends. And that allows me to very quickly throw those things into those bins as I need to. Behind me and above, we have this little bin tray. I haven't labeled anything yet. I'm still scratching my head on this one because I found that it was not as effective in Shark Cage 3.0 as it had been in the past. So what I had been doing was putting smaller things like tantalums and IC chips and stuff in some of these bins. So I need to think about doing that again. And yeah, they're really small, but the idea is that when these get full, once a week, every couple weeks, then I can transfer these over to the larger containers where I have things like gold fingers and, this thin wire with the gold on it. And eventually, those things will get processed. I do want to mess around with some gold recovery. We also here slot cards, tin silver RAM. That'll be blank RAM and stuff. So it's just a way to try to stay organized as I take things apart. because what I don't want to do is be searching all over the place trying to find, you know, where did I put this? Daggone it. I mean, you know, you're just losing time when you do that. I have guaranteed that I will have to adjust things as I get set up in here and I really start getting cranking. But it's an overall setup. It's not just these bins back here. It's the bins that are in front. It's the shelving off to the side for i-series CPUs back here, and some of the nicer ceramic CPUs that come in, other gold bearing material, batteries that have to constantly get rotated through, more material that's being stored in preparation, as you can see. So, and then these bins here, yeah, I thought that was going to end up being shred over there, and then I got a load of almost all power supply units. I got to figure out what I want to do with those. But you can see how you might have your primary arrangement in place, and then you have to make some adjustments as you go along. You'll remember these bins, the aluminum, the motherboard, AM, FM, and i-series, the slot cards, and the motherboard small metal. Those, just like we had them over in SharkCage 3.0. And I'm starting to get a collection of PCs over there that need my attention. But I've been distracted by all the wire that's been coming in recently. I also had a question about how I was going to handle the deck scale now that I have the Noble Lift in order to put heavy loads on there, because the ramp was getting in the way and it was kind of touch and go about, you know, trying to get stuff on the scale without knocking the scale around. So here's the plan. Now there's no shortage of ways to crack this nut, but here's what I did. I know that I wanted to use steel because I need the scale to be sitting on something that won't flex so that I get accurate weight readings. So I had to go with something relatively strong. I was concerned that the timbers would flex with weight and therefore not be that accurate. The bottom 5x5 allows the clearance underneath, but the feet, each corner foot, that's where the load cell is. The load cell needs to be sitting firmly on a brace of some sort. So the 2x4 by 1/4 steel allows each one of the 4 load cell feet to be on a firm steel plate that isn't going to flex with the load. Now, why are they this long? Because the sticks are 10 feet long and you pay by the cut. I needed to have something that was a little over 4 feet to give me some room. So I've got 5-foot pieces here. That just saves me a little bit of cost. It's $8 a cut at the local steel shop. So now the thing to do is I'm going to do a couple loads, you know, make sure I'm comfortable with this arrangement, that it's working the way I want it to. And assuming that everything is working the way I want it to, I'm going to see if I can't get a fabricator to come in here and weld this up a little bit so it's a bit firmer, and I can cut off some of the excess as I need to in order to clean it up a little bit so that it's not got the trip hazard stuff going on. That said, I like having this overhang here because when this part of the pallet stacker bumps up against this, the forks will not have gone into the wall. So it's a way for me to prevent accidental wall forkage. And what I can do is once I've decided that this is the firm plan, then I can put a 2x4 back there or something like that in order to give a little more cushion so that if the pallet stacker does come in a little bit hot, it'll have a little bit of something that'll give a little bit of give behind there to absorb that cushion before, so we don't damage the wall. Now this wall is actually pretty tough. As you can see, they've got this wall board here on top of the drywall, so it's already built with some absorbency in mind. But I'm just trying to be a little bit extra careful here. So that's our plan. And what I'll do now is I'll just see how it works for a week or 2 or 3. And if I'm happy with it, then I'll get a fabricator to come in here and get it cleaned up a little bit, weld it in so that it's actually squared up, you know, and then we can wire brush it and paint it so it looks nice. What do you all think? I mean, I know that you all have some ideas on how we could have done this. There's certainly no shortage of ways to do this, but this was what I thought would be my quickest, simplest, get it done and still be functional and sturdy. Now for the fun part. Let's do a test load and see how it works out. Yeah, I think that is going to work. I need to test it with some Gaylord size stuff, you know, because of visibility issues and things like that. But yep, I think that is going to work just fine. Those were 2 really good sets of questions that I got from a few people about how I'm laying out the shop, the way I'm doing things, the way I'm doing it, why, and how I'm handling getting the new tools and equipment in. I'm trying to share all of this in a playlist about setting up scrap shops. So if you have any questions, if you want to learn some more, there'll be a link popping up to the playlist that talks about how I've gone about setting up my shark cages, which are really playlists. And the round one over on the other side, that's to help you to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Be safe. We'll see you on the next one.